Breakups are often the symptom of problems in a relationship. My workbook series, The Knowledge, is focused on helping you change your life in 4 key areas: retaining the information that I teach, personal growth, improving your relationships, and of course, re-attracting your ex. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
Hi there, I'm Coach Margaret.
And today we're going to be talking about never give your heart away too quickly.
Oh, no.
If you do, you're going to get hurt because chances are you're taking a risk on somebody that you really don't know that well.
Oh, and your heart is so delicate. Be good to it.
Absolutely. You know, one of the things that we do as human beings is when we start to date somebody new, we get excited about them. We start to fantasize about who this person is and what they're going to bring to our life. We imagine that all of these unmet needs and desires that we've always had or longed for are going to come from this new person, and when they don't, it's devastating.
Not only that, remember that for the first few months at least, sometimes even longer, we're drunk on hormones. Okay? Mother Nature has to get us drunk to get us to get into this stuff.
Mother Nature thought of it first.
Yes, she did. Yeah. So we're not seeing clearly early on.
No, and it often takes us a solid 6 months.
Yeah, and enjoy that period. Have a good time. But don't say I love you too soon, and don't give away your heart too soon.
And be careful about the fantasies and putting this person on a huge pedestal that you really, essentially, you don't even know this person.
Right.
And so today we've got an email where we're really going to look at that. Okay? Because I really think that we're going to look at an example of someone who gave away their heart too quickly. So if you have done that in your life and you know that this is a problem for you, this video can help, because you may see similar behaviors that this person did that you did as well. Okay? So they said, "Dear Coach Craig, I am in my mid-30s, a woman, by the way, and she fell for a guy in his early 40s. We are both attractive, charismatic people. He broke up with me a few months ago. I work for a company that has several locations across the country, and we met through work. He lives in a different state." Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and put this up front because in the email they didn't explain this, and I had to read the email a few times to really figure this one out. They had never met at this point. So they met through work, but never in person.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you can already see that's a major red flag. Okay? Now, obviously, she knows that he works at the company, and so he's not catfishing her with his pictures or who he is, but that doesn't mean you know who the person is really when you've never even met them and they live in another state.
No, not a good idea.
Okay. So she said, once we exchanged personal numbers, we bonded quickly, which is another red flag. How can you bond quickly to somebody you've never even met?
Right.
You don't know what they're like in real life. At that time, he was going through a divorce from a marriage of 20 years.
Wow.
So do you think somebody that's coming out of a 20-year marriage is going to be excited about getting into another long-term relationship?
With somebody they haven't even met.
Seems like all kinds of issues already, right?
Yeah.
We texted all day and all night, and we called each other often. So it's a fantasy. You're texting. You're projecting your fantasies in these text messages. I really don't like using text messages because I think a lot of information is not conveyed, and there's a lot of miscommunication there. Mm-hmm. And even if, I was dating and going out, I would use the phone just for texting girls to, occasionally set up dates and set up plans. But I'm not going to do that. Like, I want to get to know somebody in person.
In person, so you can see their eyes and their responses and get the vibes and all those good things.
You're missing so much
Sure. Yeah.
when you're just texting somebody. We were only in communication for about 3 months. So the whole thing only lasted 3 months. She was already attracted and attached. I think she was attached, honestly, probably by text message number 5. Right? It sounds like she's just so anxious.
But it sounds like it was quite an intense 3 months. Yeah.
Sounds like it. There were 3 occasions we had hurt my feelings, and I would make a statement that I needed time to process what he said to me. So already another warning sign. 3 times he hurt her feelings that bad in a 3-month period. Mm-hmm. Right?
That would be once a month.
His reaction to me was to cut me off. I would text him repeatedly with no response. So already in the early honeymoon stages of this texting relationship, they're fighting.
Yep.
And he's ignoring her.
Yep.
So lots of
honeymoon was over pretty early.
Over the phone at work, he would be cold to me. However, I remained upbeat at work, and he eventually would reach out to me and we would reconnect again. We would often talk about meeting each other in person, but we were waiting for things to settle down on his end. So she hadn't met him at this point. The last falling out we had, I texted him again, over and over. I said I loved him. 2 weeks later, he called me drunk and confessed that he loved me too, repeatedly. After that drunk call, again, he would not respond to my texts or calls.
Now, who was drunk?
The guy.
Okay.
None of this behavior is adding up for a healthy anything.
No.
Right? The day after the drunk call, I booked a flight to finally see him. 2 weeks before my flight, we talked on the phone and he seemed excited to see me. However, he told me he was dating someone from his past.
Okay, then. Glad you brought that up.
And he wanted me to know before I went on my trip. How considerate.
Yeah.
How about letting me know before I bought the tickets?
How about that? How about letting me know, period?
Yeah, exactly. But I suspect, and my feeling is, I wonder if she bought those tickets before she even told him, and she just was impulsive.
Would have done that, yeah.
Yeah. I was devastated. In an attempt to show my maturity, I kept my trip. I needed to lay eyes on the man that owned my heart.
Oh, dear. Oh. Hearts are not owned. Shared, not owned.
You haven't even met this guy,
Yeah.
okay? And you're putting yourself in a situation to be hurt. He's ignoring you. Mm-hmm. He's being mean to you. He tells you he loves you after he's drunk, and then he ignores you for days afterwards. You can't ignore any of that. If you do, you're going to wind up getting hurt. The night before I was to meet him, he told me over the phone one of the main reasons why it wouldn't work between us is because we live so far from each other.
Now he decides.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. During the times we were not on speaking terms, he was in a self-destructive mode, drinking and partying.
And meeting people.
Exactly. This guy is dating someone else. He's drinking, and you even say he's self-destructive. You're not looking at who this guy really is.
Or your own best interests.
No. He makes small comments that push me away often. He made comments on not knowing what to do with his life. The day we finally met was wonderful. He was a complete gentleman, kind and considerate. We only had a short window of time to meet. Okay. You flew to another state to see this guy, and he only has a small window
of time.
I mean, come on. It seems to me like, why does he only have a small window of time?
Right.
You know it's not work related.
Yeah.
It's either the girlfriend or the wife or both.
Right.
Because there's no excuse for this.
And we don't have the divorce papers.
He showed me all the signs of being attracted to me, such as staring at me, touching me at any opportunity, opening doors, trying to make me laugh, and basically flirting with me. I keep my cool and did not bring up any of those issues. At one point, he kissed me, which continued throughout the rest of our date. He talked about seeing me again. The next time you come to visit, we will do... And
blah, blah, blah.
yeah, I'm sure she didn't fill in the blanks, but I'm sure we all can. He stated repeatedly that he wished he had more time to spend with me, and I could tell that he did not want the date to end. Then why did the day end? What could have possibly been more important than this?
The girlfriend from the past or the wife?
Exactly. Okay? Because it's not work related.
No.
You could call in sick. I just don't see any excuse he could have that you flew to another state to see him. And why would you fly there for one day?
As we all wonder, yes.
Right? Like, that is like a waste of your time. You're going to fly somewhere to see somebody you've never met for one day?
But he owns your heart.
Not good. This is not healthy for you.
Yeah.
After the date, he texted me a few times telling them that he had a wonderful time and so on and so forth. Then he went back into not responding to me. His actions are telling you far more than his words are,
That's right.
and you're getting drunk on his words. Yep. And that's all he's given you. At work over the phone, he was upbeat and playful for the first few days. Then during one call, he made a comment of not knowing what to do with his life, and then he might move to an island to live like a rock star for 2 years.
How do rock stars live on islands? Very high?
I think he means like a rock star, but on an island, maybe an island where it's cheap to live.
Okay. Oh, I see. All right.
It's a fantasy.
Got it.
But here's my point.
That's away from everybody, let
Yeah.
me remind you. Yeah,
But, of course, rock stars are hooking up with everybody.
of course.
So she says, this killed me, and I get why. Because the island and living like a rock star was the fantasy and not her.
Right.
And yet he was the fantasy for her.
Right.
So that is like
Absolutely.
how I'm dying to see with you and be with you, and your idea of doing something with your life is to go live on an island and live like a rock star?
So you don't have any attachments? Any real ones?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was hoping that our encounter would change his feelings for me, and it seemed to have no effect. I sent a long text including how I would move closer to him if he had asked. And no response. And he's back to being cold at work. I do not know if he's still dating his girlfriend or if he told her about me. I doubt it.
I do too.
I highly doubt it.
I don't think he tells anybody anything.
This man has owned my heart for months, and I can barely function in life.
Oh dear.
How can I make this work and have him commit to me?
Dear Lord.
I know in my heart we could be so happy because when we would talk or our time together, it is amazing. You only spent 1 day with this man.
She talked and texted all those times.
All of that is fantasy of your unmet needs.
Right.
Okay, obviously you were very hurt in your childhood that you are settling for this, and it's barely breadcrumbs. She says, he shuts me out. Any insight would be much appreciated. Well, I think you need to start with yourself and look at what's going on within yourself. Margaret, any thoughts on what happened in her life that she would be so excited about this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, very clearly, she was not treated well, or she would not have settled for this for a minute. So, I mean, we can already surmise unmet needs. And, you know, younger people take issue with me when I say, you really can fall in love over the computer? I mean, you've never seen this person, you've never felt their vibes, you know. You don't know. They might have a snaggle tooth you don't like, you know.
You don't
all
know
those
somebody.
Things you don't know
You
somebody.
don't
right.
know somebody.
And they can tell you anything they want. But he said, but he said, but he said. You have no idea if it's true or not.
That's right.
And you said not a catfish, but in another way, he kind of was a catfish. I mean, she knew he wasn't the classic catfish because she worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew he was employed, and she knew that much. You don't know if he really was getting divorced. You just don't have any idea.
All you know is that,
Yeah.
look at the facts.
Yeah.
Okay? Forget what his words say. Look at his facts. He's just coming out of a divorce.
Right.
He's got a girlfriend that he hid from you.
Mm-hmm.
You fly to see him, and he barely spends one day with you.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He's not flying to see you. He's ignoring you for days on end.
You're not part of his fantasy.
You're not part of his fantasy. I mean, look at all the facts. It hurts.
The really painful thing is, it sounds like somehow it was better than she was used to being treated.
Yeah.
That's the really painful part. And I'm thinking there's a little sign you can buy in catalogs that says, never put the key to your happiness in someone else's pocket. And that's even more distant than giving someone your heart.
Mm-hmm.
You need to take it back, honey, as soon as you can. And that's a process that people do think about. You know, in the grief process, when you grieve someone, even if it's a fantasy, you kind of withdraw your energy, the energy you invested in them. You take your energy back slowly. And that would be as close as we could get to taking back your heart.
Yeah.
But he didn't treat your heart well once he had it.
No, he didn't.
And I think she's looking for how can she fix things up with him. We have nowhere to begin on that.
Well, I mean, in a situation like this, you can't make somebody care about you.
No,
The
you
guy
can't.
has been hiding girlfriends, seeing other women.
Yeah.
When you fly there, he spends one day with you, and then he tells his words and his actions don't line
Don't
up
match at all.
at all. No. And you want him to commit to you, but he hasn't even been honest with you.
No.
How is he going to commit to
You've
you?
only even seen him once, and that was with reticence on his part.
The only way I would proceed with this situation, and it would be with extreme reluctance, is if he and his efforts all lined up with his behavior. I'm going to come fly and spend the week with you, and we're going to spend some time together and get to know each other, and I'm not going to ignore you. I'll message you within a reasonable amount of time. I'm committed to this. I really want to make this work, but
And this is
getting to this point would be very difficult.
what we need to say to her, and I think it would be hard for her to hear it, would be, you do not need to think about what you need to do to get him back. You need to think about what he would have to do to get you back.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He needs to show you.
Yeah. And you didn't do anything wrong here. You didn't do anything wrong except give your heart away too quickly. Somebody on the computer can tell you anything they want.
That's right.
And, they can sound so sincere, and, they can make it sound like their whole story adds up and all of that sort of thing. But you just can't give your heart away that quickly.
Just look at his actions.
Yeah.
They tell you more than his words will ever tell you, unfortunately. And we know this is going to hurt to hear, but you're going to hurt yourself more to continue to think that somebody that gives you this kind of behavior is going to be a good partner.
Right. You will meet somebody who deserves you, and this is not the guy.
No, I don't think so.
It sounds like you're quite sincere and want a relationship.
And the other thing that we are forgetting is that she said he had self-destructive behavior and he was drinking all the time.
Yep.
And we've completely forgotten about that, and that's a huge component.
That's
right
a
there.
huge component right there. Of course, he's in a crisis. He's getting a divorce, so she was probably letting that slide. But don't let that slide.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Guys, you have to be careful with who you give your heart to. We know you get excited when you start dating somebody new. It's very easy to fantasize about who this person and who they'll be and all the joy that they'll bring you in your life and the fun and all of that comes with it. But if you don't really evaluate the situation, you're going to get hurt.
And I have disagreements with young people often who tell me they can fall in love over the computer. Call me old, call me concrete. I got to see whoever this is. Okay?
Yeah.
How about you?
I think it's very easy to make that mistake
Yeah.
and I could see why it happens. Believe
sure.
me, I could see why that
Yeah.
happens. I'm just saying you got to be more aware of it. And if you find yourself in this situation, it can get real easy to get desperate and lose yourself.
Yeah, and it's somebody to talk to frequently. It's all those things that we all love to hear.
But you really don't know somebody unless you start spending physical time with them.
No.
And that really shows, there's going to be so much that you would not get by just talking on a Skype or a computer or texting,
Right.
believe me. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully you found this video helpful and you'll be more cautious in giving your heart away.
Yeah.
And of course, when you want to get our help personally, just go to my website, askcraig.net. Sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. I do email coaching and I do Skypes. Margaret is also available for Skype coaching.
And many of you have signed up, and I'm delighted by that. Please continue.
Just click on Margaret on the top of the website. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you're notified when the new videos come out. Like the video. And that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
I'm Coach Margaret.
And we will talk with you soon. I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different, and every breakup is different. Work with me, and you'll get professional help on your situation. Just click on the link in the description below, or go to my website, askcraig.net.